At this point in the demonstrations, we have completed the installation of the operating systems and patterns necessary to create a SUME4 proxy server. However, the installation seen in the previous demonstration does not get you to a configured and functioning SUME4 proxy server. For that, I need to register the proxy server as a salt minion and configure the proxy server using a script that runs on the proxy server. This script is named configure-proxy.sh, and I'll demonstrate that in another video. But before attempting to register your proxy server with your SUME4 server, you should check on the following conditions: that the SUME4 server can resolve the DNS name of your proxy server, and that the proxy server can resolve the DNS name of your SUME4 server. Also, you should check to make sure that the proxy and SUME4 server can successfully ping each other. Also, time is important, so that the time of the proxy and the SUME4 server are synced properly. And you need to have created an activation key to be used in the registration process that provides access to all the required product channels. And you need to decide on the method you wish to use to register your proxy server with the SUME4 server. In this demonstration, I will use the SUME web UI to initiate the registration of the proxy server, since for a single server, this is the easiest manner in which to register a server as a salt minion. I do have a whole module, however, on different types of registration methods. So during this demonstration, I will show you the following tasks. I will first ensure that all the prerequisites I just listed regarding DS name resolution and time synchronization have been met. Then I will create an activation key to be used when registering the proxy server. This activation key will provide access to all the required channels for registering and updating SUME4 proxy servers that are running on top of the SLES 15 SP1 OS. I will then use this activation key in the web UI to initiate the salt minion registration process for my proxy server, which is named EX-Proxy1. When this completes successfully, I'll show you how the proxy server shows up in the web UI as a managed salt minion. So let's get started. First, let me show you that the SUME4-OD SUME server and the EX-Proxy1 proxy server can resolve their FQDNs, communicate to one another, and have properly synchronized time. So I'll start from my administrative workstation machine and use that to SSH into the machine that will be my proxy server, which is EX-Proxy1. So from the console of my proxy server, I'm going to see if I can ping the SUME4 server. And as you can see, I can resolve its fully qualified domain name. Now I want to check to see whether or not time is synchronized on my proxy server to be. I'll issue the time date CTL command, and you'll see here that NTP synchronized is yes and network time on is yes. So time is synchronized with my EX-Services VM, which provides an NTP time service for all the virtual machines in my little network here. So I'll SSH here into my SUME4 server so I can check the same pieces of information from the vantage point of the SUME server. Let me see if I can ping my proxy. Notice the fully qualified domain name here. And I can do that just fine. And I'll also check the time on my SUME4 server with the time date CTL command. And also network time shows as being on here, and NTP synchronized is yes. So I've met those requirements. The next step in my registration process for my proxy server is to create an activation key that will be used when registering the EX-Proxy1 machine that is going to be my proxy server. There is a whole on-demand module on registration techniques, but what I'll be doing here is kind of a quick and dirty registration. I'll first need to create an activation key using the web UI, and then I'll use the web UI to register my machine. From the web UI running on my SUMA administrator's workstation, I'll first create a system group that will be referenced by my activation key. So I'll go to Systems and System Groups to create a system group that'll contain all the proxies for this organization as members of that system group. To create a system group, there are two pieces of required information, a name and a description. So for the name field, I will call this system group SUMA4_proxy_server. And in the description field, I'll type group members are SUSE manager for proxy servers. Then I'll create the group. Now you'll notice that in this SUMA manager system at this point, there are no systems that are registered with this server. So the proxy server will be the first SALT minion registered with this system. Now I'll go ahead and create an activation key that'll reference that system group by going to Systems and Activation Keys. I'll give it a description. Now I have to give this key a name, and you'll notice that there is a prefix that is specified here, 1-. So the actual name of this key that I'm creating is 1-proxy_key_sles-15-SP1. That 1 is the organization name. Now I need to select the base channel for this activation key. And since this is going to be a proxy server, I will select this particular base channel. And there are some child channels that go with that. You'll notice that there is one mandatory channel and then several that are recommended. Here's the mandatory channel, and I'll click the button here that says Include Recommended. So all of these recommended channels will also be checked. So these are the details for my activation key that I'm going to use to register my SUMA4 proxy server, and I'll click Create Activation Key to create the key. And here you see the key, and now I'm going to add the name of the group that I created previously, and you'll see here the group that I created. I'll check the group and click the button Join Selected Groups. So now this activation key will not only specify access to the channels, but also will make the registered SALT minion a member of this group. Looks like I've mistyped the name of my group, so let me go ahead into System Groups and edit the properties of this group to change the name to SUMA4 rather than PUMA4. And I've clicked the Update Group button, and now I've got the actual name that I want for that group. And my activation key references this system group called SUMA4_proxy_server. Now that I have an activation key, I can use the web UI to register my EX-Proxy1 proxy server as a SALT minion using that key. To use the web UI to bootstrap a client, I'll select Systems, followed by Bootstrapping in the navigation pane here on the left. And this gets me to the Bootstrap minion screen. In the host field, I'll put in the fully qualified domain name of my EX-Proxy1 server that I want to bootstrap. So I'll type in ex-proxy1.lan30.example.com. Notice that the standard SSH port is specified, port 22, and I need a user with root privileges on that system in order to bootstrap it. So I will use the root user on that system and specify that root user's password. And I need to specify the activation key I created just a minute ago. And you see a field here that says proxy. Now, if I was going to register a client with a proxy server, I could select the FQDN of the proxy server. But this is becoming a proxy server, so I'm not going to select anything in this field. Notice I've got checked by default, disable SSH strict host key checking during bootstrap process. And what that allows me to do is to automatically accept SSH host keys without being required to authenticate manually. Now I'll go ahead and click the bootstrap button. Now the web UI will let me know when the process either completes successfully or errors out. Now you can see the message at the top of the screen, successfully bootstrapped host, and this process took about 3 minutes. So if I go to systems in the web UI, we will see that the EX-Proxy1 server is a managed salt minion. And there it is. However, if we go to systems, system lists, and proxy, you'll see that EX-Proxy1 has not yet been configured as a SUMA for proxy server because it doesn't show up here as being a proxy server in the web UI. And the configuration necessary to make them a proxy server will be part of the next demonstration. Now you can see that the activation key that specified the channels necessary for my proxy server has already been used to specify system updates for this system. And you'll see that the EX-Proxy1 server is a member of my SUMA for proxy servers group. But once again, it still is not providing proxy server functionality until I configure it with the config-proxy.sh script. And that's next.